5/8 today. Spectrum Business, made to work.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I'm Dean Meminger. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Vice President Kamala Harris wrapped up a bus tour in Georgia Thursday with a rally in Savannah. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz also sat down for their first interview together since launching their campaign. CNN released a preview of that interview, touching on concerns surrounding the vice president.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy?
I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Donald Trump is also on the campaign trail, targeting key battleground states as the race for the White House enters its final stretch. The former president held a rally in Michigan and will finish off Thursday participating in a town hall in Wisconsin. Trump used his rally to criticize Harris's record on the economy. We could soon see a halt in the war in Gaza. Israel has agreed to a series of pauses in fighting to allow young children to be vaccinated for polio. Officials say the pause would start this Sunday and will be split into 3-day phases. The use of polio vaccines in Gaza has dropped more than 80% since the war began. Those are your headlines. Now, your weather on the ones.
I'm meteorologist Ian Cassette. A front is moving across the center of the country, and to end the week, we are going to see some storminess across the Great Lakes and into the plains. Ahead of that front, record-setting heat. Temperatures approaching 100 degrees in some spots, but to the west, a lot of sunshine heading into the weekend with high pressure in control. As for our temperatures, we're definitely going to see a swing in temperatures here, especially a flip of the pattern. We'll have more on that, and also later on, more in the tropics coming up on Weather on the Ones.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Dean Meminger in for Sharon Tazwell. Making history, Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will participate in an interview that will air later tonight. It's the first time the pair will sit down together for an in-depth conversation since President Biden dropped his re-election bid. CNN released a preview of the discussion where the vice president responded to criticism following recent changes to some of her policies. We have it for you. Take a listen.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy?
You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. Violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border, my values have not changed.
And while we wait for more of that interview, both Trump and Harris campaigns are on the road targeting key swing states expected to have crucial impacts on the November election. Spectrum's Cassie Simeon kicks off our Decision 2024 coverage in Georgia, where the vice president is wrapping up a bus tour with a rally in Savannah.
Democrats traditionally do well in Georgia's metro areas of Atlanta and Savannah, but it's the rural areas, experts say, where Vice President Kamala Harris needs to work to earn support from voters if she plans to win this state in the fall. Allies of the Harris campaign say the ground game is strong here, building upon the momentum of electing 2 Democratic senators in 2020 and 2022. Vice President Kamala Harris hitting the road for the second day of her bus tour in southern Georgia with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The pair making stops in rural communities to try and make a dent in former President Donald Trump's hold on more remote parts of the state. Georgia Democratic State Senator Derek Mallow, who is scheduled to speak at the vice president's rally in Savannah Thursday, says it's important that Harris is spending time in the southern part of the state.
Right here in Chatham County, to be exact, we increased in 2020 over 2016 10,000 votes to go out for President Biden. And he won the state by, only a few thousand votes. So if the testament to the work that we do not only in Chatham County but South Georgia is that we can deliver the state of Georgia for Vice President Harris.
Harris's visit to Georgia also comes as a new Fox poll puts the vice president up 2% in the state over Trump, within the margin of error, but a major shift compared to where President Joe Biden stood in a matchup with the former president. Mallow says Harris's outreach to voters in all corners of the state may help continue to grow that lead. The Trump campaign is brushing off Fox's poll, pointing to the 2020 election results, and that polls did not paint an accurate picture of election results in the battleground states. We did ask the Trump campaign if the Trump Vance ticket will be spending more time in southern Georgia in the coming weeks. In Savannah, Georgia, Cassie Simeon, Spectrum News.
And as Harris rallies in Georgia, Donald Trump spent the day in the battleground state of Michigan. The former president delivered remarks in the small city of Parderville, where he spoke on manufacturing and the economy. Trump quickly turned to other key election issues, including abortion and immigration. The former president referred to Harris as a Marxist and fascist, despite many Republicans calling for Trump to stay on message.
And you had the best economy in the history of our country just a short while ago, and now you have what they call inflation, what that has done to this country. And frankly, they've done also worse, and you're going to end up in World War III with these people. I'll tell you what.
The campaign is ramping up its presence in Michigan, with both Trump and Vance holding events in the Wolverine state this week. The former president won Michigan in 2016, but lost in 2020. With Trump in Michigan and Harris in Georgia, it's clear both campaigns see these battleground states as a path to victory this November. Political anchor Alex Cohen joins us from California. And Alex, Trump once again delivering remarks on a subject that nearly impacts every American. What do you make on his strategy of focusing on the economy?
Well, it's a super smart strategy in that this is an issue that touches the lives of so many voters in this country. Despite various very strong economic data points, many people are still feeling the pinch. What will be interesting to see as we head into this final stretch of the election is what specifically is the former president proposing to alleviate some of that economic pain, and what long-term impact will it have? Some recent reports found that some of his ideas could lead to as much as $5.8 trillion worth of deficit over the next 10 years. And I think a lot of people are worried about the short term making things easier, but of course, we have to think long term as a country as well.
All right, Alex, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz sat down with CNN for an interview that airs tonight. However, Republicans are criticizing the sit-down, calling Walz a chaperone. What can you tell us about this, including tell us about what Democrats are saying?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Those on the right are making a lot of hay about the fact that Kamala Harris is showing up with her VP pick, especially considering that Donald Trump has sat down for interviews with J.D. Vance. And it's not just this year's candidates. This is a time-honored tradition on both sides of the aisle. You want to see how these two candidates work together as a team. So we've seen that plenty of times in the past, and a lot of folks wondering about whether or not these questions about Kamala Harris needing a chaperone might be somewhat misogynistic in nature. But the vice president is also feeling pressure from the left, as some are saying, you know, this is her first chance with a big in-depth sit-down interview to really address some of her positions in the past, many of which are seen as being too progressive, too liberal, and others have been being seen as not progressive or not liberal enough. Should be an exciting watch.
All right, Alex Cohen in Southern California. Always good information from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just ahead on Spectrum News, how the U.S. Army is responding after an altercation involving Donald Trump at the Arlington National Cemetery.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams.
My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree. That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most.
Drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
I'm meteorologist Ian Cassette. A front is pushing eastward into Friday, and so an early start for Milwaukee and parts of Wisconsin where we could see some early storms. There's probably a better chance of severe weather farther to the east, but still some stronger winds to wake up to on Friday morning. As we get into Friday afternoon, evening, the same front is going to utilize some bigger heat ahead of it for a reinvigoration of storms. From Detroit in eastern Michigan, a line of storms potentially by Friday evening, farther to the southeast into Indiana and towards St. Louis, and into the evening hours, late evening hours, we will have an opportunity for some stronger storms with damaging winds a main threat along with larger hail. That severe risk will come down as we get later into the night. Then we jump ahead into Saturday where that front is farther east, so that will lead to severe weather potential from Columbus to Washington, D.C., to the north and to upstate New York, all with the potential for severe weather come Saturday afternoon. Our temperatures ahead of this front are very warm. We've got those winds out of the south, so that's going to get us well above average in Nashville, Columbus, where we'll be approaching 100 degrees on Friday. Behind the front feels good in Wichita and Minneapolis. We'll get those temperatures in the lower 80s, but we're not exactly seeing that cool Canadian air. It's just a change in wind direction that makes a difference for those temperatures. So we will have 97 degrees in Nashville, 98 degrees in Louisville, 97 degrees in Columbus on Friday. These temperatures will be approaching record levels as you see those record highs on record. Nashville, 100 degrees. That is the record from 1951. We'll be very close to that. Indianapolis, 95 from 1964. So very close to some records going down, but you also have to consider with high levels of humidity, there is going to be an elevated heat risk. So on Friday, western Kentucky and Tennessee and to southern Illinois, southern Indiana, all with major threat of heat risk. So real important to stay cool and hydrated. We're gonna have more on the tropics coming up the next 10 minutes.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. As the election kicks into high gear, both campaigns are focused on swing states. Vice President Kamala Harris is touring battleground Georgia, while her running mate Tim Walz visits Raleigh, North Carolina. Former President Donald Trump is making stops in Michigan and Wisconsin. His running mate J.D. Vance spoke to firefighters at a Boston convention. Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have a joint interview Thursday night. It is their first time sitting down for an in-depth conversation since President Joe Biden ended his campaign. That's what you need to know this evening. An Arlington National Cemetery official involved in a controversial incident with Donald Trump will not file charges. The U.S. Army released a statement about the altercation, saying the cemetery employee was unfairly attacked. Spectrum's Kevin Fry is in Washington with more on the response, plus a look at how the incident is impacting the Trump campaign.
The incident at Arlington National Cemetery occurred Monday, the third anniversary of the suicide bombing that killed 13 U.S. service members during the withdrawal from Afghanistan. After former President Donald Trump arrived to take part in a wreath-laying ceremony, a confrontation ensued. Federal law bars political activity at military cemeteries. In a statement Thursday, the Army said an official at the cemetery was attempting to ensure compliance when she was, quote, abruptly pushed aside. The Army added, quote, this employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption. This incident was unfortunate, and it is also unfortunate that the Arlington National Cemetery employee and her professionalism has been unfairly attacked. The altercation was reported to police, but the official declined to press charges, so the Army says it considers the matter closed. The statement makes no mention of Trump or his campaign, but it is clear the incident involved his appearance there. Relatives of victims of the Kabul bombing invited Trump to the cemetery. A photo of the visit shows him standing with some of them among the graves, giving a thumbs-up sign. He also has shared a TikTok video of his visit. The Trump campaign has tried to cast blame for the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal on his Democratic opponent, Kamala Harris. Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, said this of Harris during a campaign stop earlier this week.
And she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell.
Trump in the past has come under scrutiny for remarks about members of the military, including reportedly calling dead soldiers suckers and losers. In Washington, Kevin Fry, Spectrum News.
The United Nations says Israel has agreed to a series of pauses in fighting in Gaza to allow children to be vaccinated for polio. The first phase is expected to start on Sunday, with future pauses split into 3-day phases. Each phase of the vaccination campaign is expected to take around 7 hours. During those times, Israel says the vaccine doses will be allowed to enter Gaza and be distributed. Steve Bannon is asking a federal judge to release him early from prison. The former aide to Donald Trump wants out while he challenges his contempt of Congress conviction. Bannon is currently serving a 4-month prison sentence for defying a congressional subpoena as a part of the investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot. As it stands now, Bannon is expected to be released on October 29th. A Justice Department watchdog has found flaws in the FBI's reporting of child sex crimes. The new report comes despite reforms following the FBI's failure to promptly investigate former USA Gymnastics team Dr. Larry Nassar. The latest report finds that the FBI has failed to report some child sex abuse allegations to local law enforcement or social service agencies. The Inspector General now raises concerns about other cases falling through the cracks. In a review of more than 300 cases, the Inspector General flagged 42 cases for the FBI that required immediate attention. A senior FBI official acknowledged that the Bureau has made mistakes, adding policies are in place to improve the process. Memorabilia mania, the reason thousands of Dodgers fans lined up for hours before the start of a game, coming up on Spectrum News.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't switch to Spectrum Enterprise.
Well, you said our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Well, maybe you have too many.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
Look, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner. And I can't run this network without one.
I think you can.
Our clients do it all the time.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day.
I love you.
Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, "I love you" to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Meteorologist Ian Cassette, the eastern half of this country and the south, pretty busy with opportunities for showers and storms, especially the Gulf Coast and into Texas. Rounds of storms into this weekend. To the northeast, New York will have multiple chances of rain Friday and Sunday with a front passing through, but to the west, very dry, and this is likely to be a pattern here that continues in the longer term with above average temperatures and drier conditions. So high temperatures on Friday, we've already mentioned 90s expected in Portland, hundreds down in the desert southwest. Into the weekend, 97 degrees in Portland, Oregon. So it's still going to be toasty there. 93 degrees in Boise, 93 degrees in Salt Lake City by Sunday. So coming down a little bit, but still very hot on the West Coast. As we go to the East Coast, a different story here. So we do have that front passing through. Friday's toasty, near record-setting heat possible on Friday in the Ohio Valley, but look at these temperatures dropping behind the front. We'll get into the 80s in Columbus, Indianapolis, feeling more comfortable around the Great Lakes. Those temperatures running to more climatological levels and better for those that are hoping to be closer to fall. And we could even see more cooler weather going to next week. Columbus the next 5 days, 97 degrees Friday, lower 80s by early next week. As we look at Austin, Texas, it's going to be a little bit more active in Texas here with this pattern, lower 90s for Friday and Saturday. 80s are back by early next week. And the overall trend, the outlook, seems to be favoring cooler than average weather for the southeast and for the mid-Atlantic, but it's still going to be toasty across the West Coast with those temperatures running well above average, and that drier than average weather will continue as well. Let's go to the tropics, where we haven't had a whole lot to talk about, but it is starting to get going, where we are watching tropical waves moving west. We have a promising tropical wave right now, seems more likely to develop, and it would probably develop into tropical depression by early next week. The Lesser Antilles and Eastern Caribbean should be watching this closely, and we do have plenty for this system, potential system to work with. We're at the ocean heat content at near record levels. So this is in line with what we would typically see for this time of the year. As you see typically in September, we watch that area in the Atlantic moving west, and it's a matter of will it turn north or continue westward. And this is something you should keep paying attention to.
It's been 19 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall. Katrina came ashore near the Louisiana-Mississippi border on August 29, 2005. The storm caused extensive and devastating damage along the Mississippi Gulf Coast and in New Orleans. Katrina's surge of water breached levees and caused widespread flooding. Nearly 1,400 people were killed. The hurricane caused about $200 billion in damages. We are learning new details about an alleged plot to attack a Taylor Swift concert overseas. The CIA helped Austrian law enforcement disrupt the ISIS-inspired plans earlier this month. The CIA deputy director confirms the plot was, quote, quite advanced and threatened to kill tens of thousands of people, including many Americans. Officials say the global intelligence community worked together, leading to the arrest of 3 suspects. Well, good news for prospective home buyers. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage eased for the second week in a row. The rate fell to 6.35%. That's a drop from last week's report of 6.46%. Economists from Freddie Mac say the latest number is the lowest level in more than a year. The decline comes as home buyers face home prices near an all-time high. The rate averaged 7.18% just a year ago. Parents and grandparents, listen up. A Fisher-Price dumbbell toy is being recalled due to a possible choking hazard. They say the toy is a part of their baby biceps gift set. The company says gray caps on the ends of the dumbbells can come off. There have been 7 reports of this sort of incident, but so far no injuries have been reported. Dodger fans flooded the stadium's parking lots this week, not just for the game, but for a coveted Shohei Ohtani keepsake. Spectrum's Taylor Schaub has more on the bobblehead excitement.
Make the head bubble. Yeah. It's like Christmas morning, except this time, Henry Sanchez isn't unwrapping a present under the tree. He's cracking open a box in the upper deck.
I've been here Game 7 World Series, and it was not like this.
Henry, a die-hard Dodger fan, is having a special Daddy-Daughter Day, taking his little girl and snag this souvenir.
This night's taking forever.
They arrived at the ballpark over 6 hours before the first pitch, standing in what felt like an endless line for a shot at a coveted Ohtani bobblehead.
The experience is you're getting like some kind of gold prize, and everyone's just anxious to get it. So you could just feel everyone kind of anxious to rush inside. And you're just happy you're in front of the line or close to the line.
With only the first 40,000 fans set to score the giveaway, Chavez Ravine was packed as early as 10 a.m. Everyone itching to get their hands on this year's second Ohtani bobblehead, featuring his dog, Decoy.
Ohtani has a fan base that's big.
But not everyone was able to snag the collector's item. Charan Paul, who traveled all the way from Toronto, says his kids were disappointed after the last box was handed out just minutes before.
To not get a bobblehead, of course.
On a night dedicated to him, Ohtani didn't disappoint, sending the ball sailing into the stands in his first at-bat. Andy Dolich, a longtime sports executive, says he's never seen such a stir over a giveaway, but notes the secondary market has fueled this frenzy. He says Ohtani bobbleheads are fetching more than $250 online.
So you have a subculture of people that could care less about the Dodgers, their opponents, Major League Baseball. I'm getting that because I can make some money.
That's crazy.
But for Henry, this is about more than money. It's about moments.
Well, today's a memory, so we're not even thinking of selling it.
It may be made of plastic, but for 40,000 fans, this bobblehead is pure gold.
Yeah. I'm Dean Meminger. Thank you for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 coming up. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories, connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back. To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels, that's a love we can all fight for.